So this video is a VR to Natalia Ouroboros. It's I really enjoyed her video, hashtag spiritual addiction and mental masturbation. Um, I thought I've thought about this subject a lot over the years. I'm at a place right now in what I do, where I have enough. Um, I have enough. I don't have a lot of. Well, you could see in the background here what I have. Right, I have a statue of Diana. I have some animal spirit statues there. Some religious icons of the saints that I work with the most, with my patrons and the ones who I work with, who aren't necessarily patrons. They're like co-workers, spiritual co-workers. But I do know one thing. I go through phases. It was interesting when Natalia uploaded that video. I was toying with the idea of subscribing to a witchy subscription box because I feel a need for something. The same kind of, it's the same kind of feeling I get when there's this like malaise, this, I need to fill the hole. There's a hole that needs to be filled. And I think to myself, a trip to a metaphysical shop will cheer me up. A trip to, because for me, going to a metaphysical shop is like, for me, it's like some kind of spiritual pilgrimage. Especially because in my area, they're sad. Like there's two metaphysical shops, if you want to even call them that. But they don't cater to my needs. So there's the online shopping at the metaphysical shop, and then there's the need for witchy things. Like when I first started out with shopping at metaphysical stores, this was like in the late 80s. And then I had a resurgence in the mid 90s. Like 10 years later, I got into shopping again at the metaphysical shop. And I still have the things that I purchased then. Candle holders, like glass votives that I still use. My pentacle, my pewter pentacle that a friend bought me for my birthday. I think it was my 30th birthday that she bought that for me as a gift, that I still wear, and that's my pentacle. And I have my cast iron cauldron. I have two. I have a little one in that I burn cone incense in, and I have a large one. But and I have quite a few crystals. But it's been years since, and I even ended up purging a bunch of stuff. Like 10 years ago, I got rid of a whole bunch of witchy decorative items, is what I called them. The tools. That I still have some that I still want to rehome. I have a wand I want to rehome. It's made of crystals that just I never used. I guess what I'm trying to say is that I totally get that need for the stuff. It's filling a hole, and and I know this is going to be one of those incoherent videos because I wanted to talk about it, but I didn't write notes for myself or anything like that. And I go through these phases where it's like, oh, I need something. So typically, what I do is I'll buy consumables, candles, incense, things that are consumable. But every now and again, I get the urge for something like a subscription box. And just recently, I was looking at subscription boxes online, and the ones that actually ship to Canada, and I almost subscribed until I looked at, because this company is excellent. They had photos on their website of previous subscription boxes, and I looked through them and thought, oh, honey, you've already decluttered all this stuff, or stuff like it. There is nothing you could possibly receive in the mail that will spark joy at this point, because this is not what you need. So that was like eye-opening, right? It was looking at these previous subscription boxes, which are stunning. But I realized if I receive, like, I looked at different boxes, like the photos, and I thought, oh, and the list, the little shopping list of packing slip list or whatever of what was in it. I asked myself, if you received this box today, would it make you feel better? And the answer was always no for each box. And I thought, oh my God, well, I'm going to receive a box that's just like this, just with different stuff. But, and that's the hard part. I realized that no, the stuff, these tools, I've outgrown them a long time ago. And I'm not saying, and please don't misunderstand or don't misunderstand or take what I'm about to say as a criticism of people who haven't outgrown them, or if you still enjoy these tools. I'm talking about that feeling of having to fill a hole. Something is missing. I need something. And I feel that it's partially the 2020, the pandemic year. Partially it's how much I'm working, and I'm not having time with my own stuff, or stuff, which is really what it's about. Needing to, that need to externalize my stuff, needing to externalize it, that some witchy item is going to make me feel witchier, which when I was younger, well, yeah, the witchy items served a purpose. They made me feel witchier. Buying witchy decor or having witchy decor in the house made me feel witchier. Now, as I look around my home, I see I have tons of witchy decor that I don't even notice. Like if someone came to my house today and looked around, they say, "Whoa." Me, I don't even see it anymore. My statue of Fortuna here with her basket full of gold coins. What I'm trying to say is there comes a time when the things no longer fill the hole. There comes a time when I was at the beginning of my journey, late 80s, and then I started my journey in the late 80s, and then there was 10 years of going to school and focusing on other things, my career and failed relationship. And then I came back to it in the mid to late 90s. In the mid to late 90s, I acquired books. And in the mid to late 90s was that first wave of tons of books on witchcraft, tons of, a lot of tarot decks. They were all mass produced at the time. I didn't even know there was such a thing as indie decks. You know what I'm saying? Well, no, that's not true. I lie. Because 2 of the oracles I own are made by a French-Canadian, Quebecois artist. So 2 of the oracles I purchased in the mid to late 90s, were independently produced by this Quebecois artist. But you know what I mean? Like there was the mid to late 90s, suddenly there was a surge of stuff available for sorry, this that was the sound of I had my Facebook open. Now, those of you who are on Facebook recognize that sound. I had my Facebook open in another window, and it's like it was starting to. But anyway, there was this there was a surge in the mid to late '90s. There were all these books and all these decks. The metaphysical shop I read at. I was one of the readers there. Had a photo album where they would have certain decks that were open, and they would have these sample cards, probably from the publisher, in this photo album, and you could flip through this photo album and decide if you want to buy a deck based on whatever cards they had as samples. So I remember, oh, the rush of getting this stuff, like the rush of having, going to the metaphysical shop and buying something, bringing it home, and just feeling that witchiness, feeling that spiritual connection to magic and all that stuff, feeling special. That's what this stuff does for us. It makes us feel special. We are addicted to that feeling of I'll speak for myself. I was addicted, and probably still am, to that feeling of being special. Fast forward now, it's 2020, and and in 20, I think I cleared out a lot of my stuff, decorative witchy stuff, that was just not in line with me. Cleared out a whole bunch of it. I remember I destashed a lot of. No, I didn't destash crystals because I never really had a lot of crystals. But for instance, right now I have a little box of things, and I have in the past destashed things that were decorative. Specifically decorative. Isn't that interesting? The tools I use, well, I'm a kitchen witch primarily, so the tools I use are in my kitchen anyway. And the herbs I use, well, I use them up and then they're gone, right? And a lot of the herbs I use are in my kitchen anyway. And then there's the ones that are not for ingestion that I use, and when they're gone, they're gone. I think I know this is like all over the place, this video. But the feeling is still there. This spiritual addiction. It's still there. There's the need. I still need something. Today, as I'm speaking about it in this video, it's subsided, because once you name something, it goes away. And so that worked out. Like once I talked about it, and I think I actually discussed it with my husband, saying, I'm feeling this need for stuff, but I really don't want the stuff, because the stuff would just cause mental chatter, which I mentioned in a previous video about being overwhelmed by my tarot and oracle decks and having to put them to sleep. The ones that I don't currently actively use. But the same thing goes for books. Like there's books on my shelf that are, for me, there's books on my shelf that are a collection of my path. From the first ever book I ever purchased that had any kind of metaphysical meaning, which was my an astrology book, to but the most recent books I have right now are literally sitting in a basket, and I'm going to be putting them away because I obtained them because I was feeling that need. But I'm the one who tells other people, because I learned this from experience. There comes a time where you have to put all that shit away and just do. And I'm already just doing. Excuse me, that's my oven timer. Oh my god, people. What was I saying? Yeah, so I got, like, I have these books, some current books. Some I've already read, and some that are sitting in a pile making me feel anxious because I literally don't have time right now to read them. But I needed something. So I got these books. And now they're pressuring me to be read because I got them. So, like I did with my decks, I'm going to have to put those books away. This spiritual addiction, hashtag spiritual addiction, mental masturbation, is when we get caught up, or okay, not we, I'll talk about me. When I get caught up in reading the books and shopping for stuff, instead of working on my internal, I'm externalizing by shopping for witchy supplies, shopping, even when I go to the thrift store, I'm shopping for candles. I haven't fucking burned a candle like for spell work in months. Like, I have to say that, months. I burn a tea light here and there, or whatever. Or I have a wax melt. I burned a tea light for yesterday and today. But what I'm trying to say is that I haven't spent time with my actual spiritual practice. But instead I've externalized it as a need for shit I don't need. I don't need to spend money on shit that I don't need. And that includes any things that I would use for my spiritual work. Because you don't need stuff for your spiritual work. Filling my house with crystals and candles and oils and all this stuff is not going to fill the hole of the fact that I have not had time to stop and spend time with my doing the inner work that I need lately. And because I haven't been able to spend time on my inner work, I right away go to the external of I need to get stuff to make me feel my spiritual life. Does that even make sense? But I need to get the things, or I have a feeling, I have a need for things to make me feel like I'm being spiritual. And for me, this is like across the board. It's like, I'll give you an example. It's like I found myself chasing a freaking Saint Oracle deck this past week. I should just be communing with my saints, working with them, touching base, doing my spiritual work. They don't give a fuck if I have cards or not. Those cards, which I actually did end up sourcing right after I recorded my religious decks video, it suddenly magically popped up on Amazon Canada, available for me to order. It's, in case you're wondering, it's l'Oracle des Saints Protecteurs. And I ordered it. It's going to take probably months to get here because it's through Amazon Canada, but I think it's coming from France. Right there. There's the illustration. That illustrates it to me right there. There's my spiritual addiction, my mental masturbation. You see, instead of working with my saints, instead of connecting with my spiritual life, I'm fucking shopping for stuff that's supposed to make me feel like I'm connecting with my saints in my spiritual life. Oh my God. And being self-aware doesn't mean that it suddenly goes away. Being self-aware doesn't mean you suddenly correct course, because look what I just did. But I think it's important to be aware that that feeling, it needs to be addressed. That feeling of you need something. You need to fill the hole. That really, that's where my attention needs to be right now. What is this hole that I'm feeling the need to fill? Receiving that deck in the mail months from now when it finally arrives. I don't even know how I'm going to react when I get it then. Maybe I'll be happy I got it and say, oh, it's a good thing I thought of getting it. Or maybe I'm going to look at it and go, meh. But right now, the hole is still there. Right now, I need to figure out, or I need to make time to do the spiritual work I need to do to address that hole and to start healing that part of me that I'm just slapping band-aids on by buying shit. And this is coming from someone who, I don't buy crystals. It's rare I buy a crystal. I don't buy decorative items. It's rare. Like if I see something at a thrift store, like a kitchen witch or something, I'll bring it home. But this is coming from someone who, my working altar literally has just the objects I need to do my workings. But that's because I decluttered and destashed a whole bunch of shit years ago. Because I realized it's just stuff. It's not my spirituality. It's just things. So yeah. I don't even know if this video is coherent. I wanted to share. It's something I wanted to talk about because of that overwhelming need I had to sign up for a subscription box that I don't need, of things I'm never going to use, that is money I will have spent. It's money I would have spent, and then it would have been, no matter how beautiful the box was when it arrived, it would have been utterly disappointing because it didn't address, it wouldn't address, or it would not have addressed what's really going on inside of me. So there it is. Here's my VR to Natalia. Again, I hope it was coherent, but it's something I'm struggling with in a different sense. But it's all part of the same spiritual addiction and mental masturbation. All right, my friends, thank you so much for tuning in. I'm wishing you all a beautiful day.